Hey YouTube, it's Mithion here. What's going on? Got another quick update for Ars Magica 2 1.2 for you. Been working on a few really cool stuff, but I can't show all of it yet because there is something special that needs to happen and time has just not allowed for it, so I haven't been able to do the preview video that I've been dying to do. But I'm going to show you what I can so far, and hopefully I can get the other video out in the near future. Sorry for being a little cryptic, but it's about the best I can do for you right now. Anyways, moving on. Some of the things I can show you, though, are a lot of little changes that are going to make your play experience just generally better. For example, I've got in my hand a keystone here, and if any of you have played it before, you'll know that if you shift right-click a keystone, you get a nifty little UI. Well, this one's a little different. I've cleaned it up, I've made the functionality worlds better. You can save combinations with names. It shows you the list in the side here. So right now I have light gray, lime, and magenta runes. For example, if I switch the magenta and the lime around, you'll notice that this is no longer highlit. I'll call it test 2, and I will click the save button. And now test 2 is showing up as highlighted. And I can just click on test to jump right to it over here. Or I can use the arrow keys to step through. You highlight one, you hit delete, and the combination's removed. Very nice, very slick, and it works great. So, I have light gray, lime, and magenta. Let me show you about some of the things you can do with keystones now. That's brand new. So some of the things you can do are, for example, the good old keystone receptacle. Now, you don't need to make yourself a million keystones to set your keys. In fact, these are purely ghost slots. So you can take your runes and set your key to whatever you want it to be. And you can lock down your keystone receptacle with just the cost of a few runes. The functionality of the keystone, needing the correct key and it determining where you can go versus the lock determining who can arrive, is still the same. It's just the method of setting that key has been redone to make it a lot more early game. You don't need as many resources, and to set up any kind of gateway network is a lot less of a resource sink for you now. So that's always a plus. However, all of these blocks here, including essence refiners, calefactors, astral barriers, seer stones, keystone chests, arcane reconstructors, summoner, and soon keystone doors, keystone trapdoors, and the magician's workbench are all keystone lockable now. So if I open up the essence refiner, you'll see you can set your rune combination: calefactor, astral barrier, seer stone. Sorry, I went a little fast there. Astral barrier again. The keystone chest, arcane reconstructor, summoner, and so on and so forth. So if I go and I put this keystone away, I can try all I want and I cannot access any of these. So right now what happens is it will flat out deny automation requests too if you have a key set in. I'm not entirely sure how I want to go about this yet, but I figure if you lock it down, you really don't want people being able to pump items out if they happen to remember to bring a hopper with them. So that's what it's doing for the time being. So that's a quick little overview on some of the things that have changed for keystones. I think they're a lot better. I'd love to hear some of your feedback on it. And let's move on to some of the other cool stuff that's happened. Alright, so you may have noticed by now that I have something in my inventory that looks kind of cool. It's called a warding candle, and it serves a few neat little purposes. First and foremost, you can place them on the ground. They are used in the ritual system, which aside from the name, I'm not going to get much more into right now. I've touched on it in another video, but they are used in rituals. They are, if I change the time to night, they are a roving light source. So as you move around, if you have the candle in your inventory, or held rather, it has to be in your hand, you'll have some light moving with you. If you take it away, the light disappears. So you have to hold it, but you can hold a candle and kind of explore around in the light. The other thing that the warding candle is used for is early game or finding. What you can do, I've set up some handy-dandy chimerite blocks here. But what you can do is you can shift right-click on the block with the candle, and it eats the block. However, you'll notice that the flame has changed to green. This warding candle, if I open my inventory, is now attuned to chimerite blocks. Once you've attuned a candle, you can't attune it to anything else. It's kind of a one-time thing, and it lasts for 15 minutes. You'll notice that the bar is slowly ticking down in my inventory. But now, as I move around, if I get close to this other chimerite block, when I get within a certain distance, the flame turns blue. And then when I get closer yet, the flame turns red. So I'll back away a little bit, blue, and green. So what you can do is you can use the warding candle early on to find some of the somewhat harder to find resources, because the candle will tell you when those resources are nearby. It won't tell you exactly where it is, but it'll get you close, and it'll let you know if you fully mined any veins of ore or just missed something. One other thing to note is once it's attuned, you can't place it down. So if you want to use ritual candles, you have to keep them unattuned. So that's something else that is actually pretty darn cool, and will be coming out in 1.2. Now I've got a couple more things to show you, so I'm going to get right to that. Next thing I got to show you guys is something about the Arcane Compendium. I've done a lot of enhancing here, and I've put in some really useful features that I think are going to just be top-notch useful for you. First and foremost, if I open the Compendium and I want to look at a shape, for example, say projectile. Now you'll notice that up at the top for any spell, shape, or component, you can see a list of what modifiers will affect some aspect of this spell. And they are linkable, so if I click on solar, it will jump me to that page, and you can see for modifiers, you have a list of all the aspects of a spell that this modifies. So for example, you can see solar modifies range, healing, radius, duration, and damage of a spell. Clicking back will take you back through the regular trail, and this I think will really come in handy for some of you min-maxers trying to plan out your spells a little more in depth. So I think that's something that will really add that extra bit of information to the compendium. The other thing I've added is if you go to an item, say for example a Magitech staff, down here I have related items. So for a Magitech staff, you can see it relates to the Magitech's goggles and the magic broom. Magitech goggles is something new in 1.2. I'm not going to go too much into it right now. That's kind of part of the other video, but I will be getting to that as soon as I possibly can. I promise you. So between some of the related items, the more information in modifiers and what modifies what interacts with what, the compendium should prove to be even more useful than it was before. Finally, something that I don't really have a show and tell for, but it's something I can explain, I've changed affinities. So first and foremost, the lightning affinity no longer has the lightning rod effect, so you are not going to get struck by lightning 1.5 million times if you go out in the rain. If I place down an oculus, you'll notice that, oh yes, I added the fact that it shows the affinity in the oculus. Side note. But if I go to affinity and I hover over lightning, you'll notice that there are, instead of lightning rod, there is short circuit, thunder punch, and fulmination. Short circuit causes you to burn mana rapidly in the rain, or if you get wet at all, so if you fall into water, walk out in the rain, that kind of thing. That's what short circuit's going to do for you. Thunder punch, it's pretty obvious what it's going to do. You punch something, it gets struck by lightning, and Fulmination is in the mid-range of Affinities. For lightning, you will have a chance to light TNT nearby to you and supercharge creepers. However, once you get deep enough into lightning, the negative effects will go away. And that is true with all of the Affinities now. If you look at some of the negative effects for air, such as light as a feather, or pacifist for life, fire weakness for water, not all of the effects, but some of the particularly bad ones you can make go away by getting deep enough into the Affinity. So you learn to... The lore behind it, I'm thinking, is you learn to control it well enough that it's not going to really affect you anymore. And that should hopefully make Affinities a lot less painful and give you a point to get deep into the Affinities. And yes, I have finally fixed the 100% affinity locking bug, so when you hit 100%, they now lock for you. Good news. So that about wraps it up. That's about all I can show you guys right this second. There are tons more new features that I cannot wait to put into a video, but like I said, something special has to happen before I can release that video. I hope to do it very soon, but rest assured, I'm going to keep working on this all the same, and I hope to have some more preview videos, if not a release for you soon, trademarked, which is pretty much the only estimate you're going to get. One last thing I wanted to note is I have signed up for a Patreon account instead of PayPal for any donations, and I'd really appreciate it if you guys would consider checking it out, and if you can spare a couple of bucks a month, that would really help me out. If not, that's fine too. I hope you enjoy it all the same, but it's patreon.com/Mithion. Give it a check out, and I got some pretty neat rewards on there for donators and some milestones to get to. So anyways, this wraps up the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed the teaser. I'm hoping to have this done soon. My list is getting shorter and shorter. Until next time, see you later, YouTube.